in the Super Bowl, then the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady. I don't know why we ever think it won't.
It's time for the home team. The home team is brought to you in part by Grace Family Church. Just try it. By Tampa Bay area Chick-fil-A restaurants. By Vermost Insurance. By Mahoney's Auto Repair. By the Home Pavilion on Clearwater Beach. By Irish 31, the place to get your favorite team in action. By Iceman Development, LLC. And now, here he is, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning and Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Paul Porter.
Thank you, Bill Carl, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the home team. And we have a very special treat today on the home team. It isn't very often that you can ask a question to an NBA official without being thrown out of the arena. No, I'm just kidding. But we have former NBA referee Bob Delaney in studio with us. And I've known Bob for many, many years, and just delighted to have him on. He's so much more than an NBA referee. That's what he's known as, a former NBA referee. But when you hear some of the things that he has been involved with, it will literally give you chills. I guarantee it, because I told the story about the fact that I read one of his books as I was in Italy. And wow, talk about authenticity. That really did it. And Bob, but we got a whole lot to get to, but fortunately we have 2 hours to talk about it. So thank you for being in studio with us today.
Great to be with you, Paul.
Well, we're just thrilled to have you here. And a special treat for our listeners and our Facebook Live viewers, because if you have ever wanted to ask something to an NBA official, speak now or forever hold your peace, because you have the opportunity to do that. Can't guarantee what his answer is going to be, but you can at least ask the question, and we will certainly allow that to happen. We've got a lot to get to today. March Madness is going crazy, down to the Elite Eight now, and we'll talk about that. The Rays got 2 games in the books, one good, one not so good, and the Lightning are just continuing to roll. They're back in action again tonight, hosting the New York Islanders, the team that one of our people here follow, unfortunately.
We won't mention his name.
No, we won't. But they are hosting the New York Islanders tonight. We'll get into that. The Magic have now lost 3 in a row by an average of 4 points. Very close, but they're losing some close games. They're still the number 5 seed, though, in the Eastern Conference.
Not bad.
And go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was going to say 4 to 6. That's where I felt that they were going into the season, that they could be, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think they're still been playing very well as of late.
And the schedule lightens up a little bit now. They are going to face 2 I guess I'd just have to call them bad teams. Memphis Grizzlies and the Portland Trail Blazers back to back. So chance to get a couple of wins for them. And we are excited about that. We'll get into all of these things, and we encourage you to grab a phone line, because they go quick on this program normally, and today I think they're going to go even quicker. So if you want to join us, if you have a question for Bob, 727-441-3000, 727-441-3000 if you have a question for him. Want to run through the Elite Eight and how it pertains to our contest, as to who is still alive in our contest. Bob, what we did was we had a blind draw for all 4 regions, and people picked numbers 1 through 16, and the seeds are scrambled, and they get a seed based on what number they picked. And if their team wins, they get more than $100 in prize packages. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, so that is a very nice thing. Still alive in the contest in the East region, John from Clearwater has Connecticut, and Mike from Facebook Live has Illinois. In the West region, still alive. In the West, Mike from Facebook Live has Clemson, and Rock Riley has Alabama. And then in the South, still alive. The Rubber Cement Man has North Carolina State, NC State, and Al, our good friend Baseball Al, has Duke. So those are what's still alive in the South. And in the Midwest, still alive in the contest, Anthony has Purdue, and they are going up against Tennessee, and that is Steve Carney's team. So those are the 8 teams that are still left. By tomorrow night, they'll be down to 4. And then we'll have the Final 4 coming up next weekend.
I would like to see NC State being the 11th seed, kind of the Cinderella of the group. They basically had to win the ACC tournament just to get into the big tournament, and it's been pretty remarkable what they've been able to achieve. So I think I like to go for them.
They are the Cinderella team, still alive. But Bob, we've had some surprises, but the 7 of the 8 teams still alive are decent basketball teams.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, it's going to continue to get better and better, and teams get into a rhythm in this kind of tournament. So that's the other element to it. You know, from my standpoint, I know Jason has his favorites, but I'm rooting for the SEC teams. I work for the SEC and Commissioner Greg Sankey now, so. You know, it's the only time that I've ever rooted for anybody. But being part of the SEC just means more. And so we're looking at Alabama and Tennessee.
Sure.
You were up late last night watching Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game. They get some players. And some kids that no doubt will be in the NBA.
What are you actually doing for the SEC?
I'm a special advisor for officiating development and performance. So because of my background, I do more with basketball, but Greg had a vision that to have someone on staff that the coordinators of the officials for each sport could go to someone to speak about training, about hiring, firing, all the kinds of things. Because as Commissioner Sankey said to me, he said, I know officiating from a certain point, but I didn't live it. And so having somebody on staff to be able to give those kinds of, have a resource for the coordinator. So each sport has a coordinator. John McDade's in charge of football. Mike Eads in charge of basketball. And each sport has a coordinator of officials. So I work with them. And like I said, because of my background, I do more with basketball.
Okay. All right. I've got so many questions for you, and I'm sure our listeners do. The phone lines are already lighting up. That why did you make that call back in 19? But we'll get into it.
I don't blame you. I've watched some of my tape as well. I've questioned my own calls at times.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun here today, and we're going to get into a lot more than just basketball with Bob, because his other job is going to blow you away. I'll tell you that. The things that he has done throughout his career, I'll tell you what, better man than I. I could not have done anything close to what you have done in your career, Bob.
Well, I tell people, you know, you get involved in something and you get assigned to something, and then you're in it and you can't get out. It's not about being brave. It's not about the courage. It's about you're involved with something. And I know we're kind of teasing a story, but once I was given the opportunity to go undercover in my law enforcement career, and then about 6 months into it, I was ready to be done. But it went on for another 3 years.
Yeah, I was just reading the book and I was ready to be done. You know, but it was the kind of book I couldn't put down. You know, it just page after page.
I tried. So the old line it was The Godfather Part 3. I tried to get out and they pulled me back in.
Well,
exactly.
You're looking at somebody who's dealt with The Godfather here. So we'll talk about that in detail. Lots to get to today, and we will certainly do that. Let's get our first break out of the way, and then we will come back. Your phone calls are welcome, 727-441-3000. You can also enter a question on Facebook Live, and we certainly welcome you to do that. We got a number of people watching on Facebook Live. Gordy Zimmerman already there watching, and a number of others. So Kirk is joining us on Facebook Live, and if you have a question for Bob Delaney, former NBA referee, one of the best. He was one of the best at his business, at his craft. not just in basketball, but in a whole lot of other things. He was one of the best. We are going to let him tell a lot of his story here today. More of the home team coming up here on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and as always, Facebook
Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
When you talk about ice rink development in West Central Florida, one name stands alone: Iceman Development, LLC. Gordy Zimmerman, president and founder of Iceman Development, has played an integral part in the construction of the Ice Sports Forum in Brandon, the training home of the three-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Advent Health Center Ice Complex, a multi-million-dollar facility boasting 150,000 square feet, and ranked the top indoor ice rink facility by both the USA Today and Yelp. Iceman Development is currently involved in creating yet another outstanding ice rink facility in Trinity and Pasco County. Iceman's company mission is to build community projects that impact the area both in quality of life and economic growth. For more information, visit icemandevelopment.com. That's Iceman with 2 N's, development.com.
Folks, let me tell you about a gem of a restaurant in Carrollwood. It's Hank's Place, where you'll find some of the best barbecue, catfish, wings, sausage, gator, shrimp, and a whole lot more. Their meats are dry rubbed and slowly smoked. All of your favorite sides, too, from baked beans to collard greens to mac and cheese to onion rings. Are you hungry yet? Discover why Hank's Place at 8546 North Dale Maybury, just 100 yards north of Waters Avenue, is a place that locals have known about for years. Hey, would a guy like me lie to you about food? Hank's Place, a place to hang your hat and lick your fingers.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Vermost Insurance in Tampa Bay today at vermost.com.
Hundreds of sets of gently used golf clubs is what you'll find at T&D Golf Stores. Conveniently located at 4205 West Waters Avenue, half a mile west of Dale Mabry, T&D has the best repair facility with the largest selection of grips in stock. You'll find a wide variety of new and used golf balls, shoes, gloves, and accessories. Family owned and operated, check them out on the web at tndgolfstores.com. Open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
If there's one thing I'm particular about, it's my pizza. ABC Pizza House at 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Great specials, too, like a large one-topping pizza for just $11.99 every Monday or Thursday, or 2 pizzas with 2 toppings every Tuesday for just $22.99. Spaghetti with 1 topping every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday for just $8.99. ABC Pizza House, 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue, 813-213-0929. Open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. abcpizzahouse.com. Seeking intellectual delight? Tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. on WTAN 1340 a.m. for Legal Candy with attorney Candace Colucci. Candace delves into property insurance, law, and other hot legal topics. Don't miss Legal Candy on WTAN 1340 a.m. Unwrap the law one bite at a time.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. Glad to have you with us. A number of people checking in with us on Facebook Live. Mario is joining us, as well as Billy and Donald. All glad to have you here. And again, Bob Delaney in studio with us today. A real treat for me and for all of you, I think, to have a former NBA referee and a whole lot more here in studio with us. We'll get to your phone calls in just a second. But Bob, I want to touch on what you did prior to becoming an NBA referee, because after you do what you did, being a referee, it'd be a breeze, I think, because certainly referees take a lot of ridicule, and fans as well as players and coaches. But you were really putting your life on the line in your previous occupation to an NBA referee. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, in 1973, I followed in my father's footsteps and joined the New Jersey State Police. And that organization is steeped in deep military tradition. It was founded by Colonel H. Norman Schwarzkopf, the father of the famed General H. Norman Schwarzkopf of the Gulf Wars. And so it was founded in 1921. In 1973, I went through that academy. It's a resident academy. You're there for close to 3 months and graduated. And it was a heck of a gig back then because we lived at the police stations. We were the local cops for towns that didn't have their own police department, as well as doing the miles and miles on the highway and handing out tickets and handling the accidents. And we had a squad room and we lived there. And, it was 2 troopers to every room. And I walked in after about a year on a job to the 3rd station that I was at, which was in Somerville, New Jersey, and walked into the squad room, and there was a note to call Lieutenant Jack Liddy, Division Headquarters, Criminal Investigation Section, Organized Crime Bureau. This guy had more titles next to his name than I ever saw. And, also, I grew up Irish Catholic. That means I wake up guilty in the morning. I thought I did something wrong. I thought I was in problem. I thought I was going to be in trouble. And the other trooper said, relax, kid, give the guy a call. I did. Lieutenant says to me, you're going to be in for a while. I said, yes, sir. He said, I'll meet you in the kitchen. I mean, every state police station had a kitchen where we lived. It was a house, just like a firehouse. And I walked into the kitchen. There's this intimidating figure. Lieutenant Liddy stands about 6'4". He's got meat hooks for hands, the kind of guy that hangs on his lapels when he talks to you. He's also the kind of guy that the button on the shirt has never met the hole on the shirt. And he's got a 16 on when it should be a 22. And he said to me after a period of conversation, are you interested in doing undercover work? I said, yes, sir. He turned and walked away. I said, Lieutenant, what is it? Drugs, narcotics? Because back then, all we're doing is buy bust on the street. Mm-hmm. He said, if you keep asking questions, you're going to be out running. Over the next couple of weeks, I found that the President's Organized Crime Task Force, the FBI, and New Jersey State Police were joining forces. We're going to start our own trucking company on the waterfront, New Jersey, trying to understand truly how traditional organized crime infiltrates legitimate businesses. Mm-hmm. And I became one of those undercover guys, another state trooper, 3 FBI agents. We started a small trucking company in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We thought it was a big operation, had no impact. Fast forward, we got lucky in the investigation. A consigliere for the DiNorgio Cruda Bruno crime family was jammed up. He could go to jail or come to work for us. He chose to work for us. He was the informant who walked us in. His name was Pat Kelly. And he schooled us in the way of the wise guy. He said, I don't know what you're doing, because we were being politically correct. We were all 5 co-owners, the 2 state troopers and the 3 FBI agents. We were co-owners in a small trucking company. And he said, I never saw a bus going down the street with 5 bus drivers. Somebody's got to be in charge. Uh-huh. And so I became the president of a new trucking company called Alamo in the shadows of the Statue of Liberty in Liberty State Park in Jersey City, New Jersey. The other trooper became my driver bodyguard. The FBI agents took on roles of truck operation, truck managers. And we had 2 new partners, the Genovese and Bruno crime families. And we were kicking back 25%. And so that became my life for 3 years.
Wow. You had some close calls, too. And you wrote about those in the book, Covert, that it was one of your, I think it was your first book, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of those close calls.
Yeah, you're constantly concerned that they're going to figure out that you're not really who you're saying you are. Mm-hmm. And so you have nothing on you when you go deep cover. This is a different kind of undercover. Law enforcement officers go undercover, and at times they're doing buy bust or they're doing sting operations. This is deep cover. So I became another person. I became Robert Allen Covert. Catchy name for an undercover guy. But I took on the identity of a child that died at birth. Our death records and our birth records are not cross-indexed in our country. So if you just go to the death record side, find someone that died at birth, you can start a whole persona. And then with the FBI and the state of New Jersey, driver's license, social security numbers, we develop a whole background. And we did that for each undercover agent, so that if we were ever checked out, that there's a birth certificate in file, that we have all the identifiers that could to back us up. But I was wearing a wire, and in that world, if you get caught wearing a wire, you're going to be dead, and you get a bullet in the head. And I lived that kind of life and did over 350 recordings with on-body recordings in addition to all the other recording devices that we had in our apartments and in the trucking company. So you're always constantly aware and afraid, and the fear that goes through you causes for quick blood. I refer to it as your blood's just running through your body quicker and quicker, and you have to learn how to push that down in order to maintain conversations like we're having right now. I'm sitting across from mob guys that I know have hits to their names, and so you're constantly concerned. And it's something that is as innocent as, like, I was at a restaurant one time, and the restaurant owner was friends with the mob guys, and he was explaining to them how he wanted to expand the restaurant, and the downstairs area was an area that he wanted to look in, and one of the mob guys said to him, "Let's go see it." And I'm thinking, when you're walking down those steps going into a basement, you don't know whether or not that's where you're going to get a hit. And so, and their humor is a little bit different. Like one of the guys was with us down in the basement as we're looking around. He said, I got to go back up to the car and get something out of the car, out of the trunk. And the other mob guy said to him, "Get something out? Aren't you usually putting something in?" So these jokes that are going on, but it's intimidation as well, right? Yeah. It's intimidation to keep you under control, to understand you're here to make money for us. And I became an earner, what is known in mob terms. So I was an associate, but I was an earner.
You really had to just do a total personality change and a state of mind change to do all that.
Yeah, and I do a lot of work in a lot of areas with understanding what lying does for us. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say we all, but most people have lied in their lives. And then you think about how you have to keep that lie up.
Sure.
And then you're afraid you're going to be tripped up. And the stress that you carry with lying. Now, you just did a podcast with Thomas Jubel, who does a lot of work with mind health, mental health. And we talked about that specifically, what lying does to you and how it disrupts your morality. And so you have all these paths that you're going down. And I was living that for 3 years.
Wow.
You have to think about who am I right now?
Yes.
Am I Bob Delaney, or am I Mr. Covert?
And to your point, Chase, I was no longer Bob Delaney.
Right.
I was only Bobby Covert. And that I lost... it was two personalities, but I had no foot in my own life anymore because I disassociated with all my former friends.
Pretty much have to stay alive.
Did you actually call yourself Bobby Covert?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that tip somebody off with a last name like Covert?
This was in 75, 76, 77, and the word covert really didn't become as popular until post-Watergate. If you think back then, it was the Narcos. The secret agent man, 007s were the kinds of terms that they gave to undercover operatives. But it's comical now as we look back. But no one ever blinked when it was Bobby Covert. Okay. And we try to do that so that the first name is the same for an undercover agent. So that's one thing you don't have to think about. And then the last name is ethnically connected. So Covert is Irish German. I grew up Irish Catholic. So
okay, wow, it's just an incredible story, and we'll be able to share it throughout the remainder of the program today. There's so much to talk about, and so much as far as NBA officiating to talk about too. Mario on Facebook Live says that he seems like the game is more tightly officiated now than it was in the past and than other sports. How would you comment on that? Do you think they're calling things now that they didn't back when you were first getting into it?
Yeah, when I first started, it was 1985 in the Continental Basketball Association. That's how I got to this area, because the Tampa Bay Thrillers were playing at the Bayfront.
I did their radio.
Yes, and we also had the Sarasota Stingers down in Manatee County. So we would bounce around and work those games. The game has changed from that standpoint. I think it's a good observation because of the amount of cameras that are in the game. And we used to call it advantage, disadvantage when I first came into the business, that you called rules based on advantage, disadvantage. And today it's more literal because of the amount of cameras that are on
Yeah.
it. I mean, you got 14 cameras on a game, and people are saying, well, he moved his foot. How come you're not calling a foul? I mean, calling a travel or that contact. And I think that we also became more educated that any hits above the shoulders have to become flagrant fouls so that we, take away that kind. Back then, we were not as aware as to what can happen to someone with hits that they take that are hard.
Mhm.
Well, to that point, I often find watching basketball, especially college basketball, there's a lot of stoppages, a great deal of stoppages where they have to go over. It seems like every
Amen
potential
to that. Yeah.
hard foul, or I should say physical foul, they're going over to the monitor to look at something. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I understand they don't want the game to get dirty. They don't want players to get hurt. But I think that this is a bit much. I think you can kind of tell, certainly even in real time, when something is unnecessary. Otherwise, if it's a player who's not trying anything malicious, but they're trying to make a play, if they go after the ball, maybe their arm or hand gets a piece of the other player's head. It happens. I don't think they were intentionally trying to do it. But do you think that it's necessary to do this every single time something happens? Because I think, aside from it being unnecessary, it also slows the game down a great deal.
Yeah, that's a concern because the unintended consequence of replay is what comes. So there's an expectation for perfection by fans, coaches, players. There's no perfection in this business, meaning refereeing. And you strive for excellence, and quite honestly, you don't hit excellence too often. You're just hoping to be good. And
it moves so fast,
yes,
too.
And so that's the other piece to it, is that that there's potentially something that I may have missed. And if I have the opportunity to get over to replay, I am going to make sure, because if I do not, I am going to have all kinds of answers to give as to why you did not go to that replay. So here's the other part. It's not the part of replay that is for we go headset on to headset off, we time it. That's usually pretty quick. It's getting to the replay. It's getting out of replay and having to explain to every coach. And I'm a big believer. You explain it to the public address announcer and we move on. Yeah. We don't need to go over and have a conversation about what has been adjudicated. And that's where I think the time lingers on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I understand getting the call right as much as possible. But I also understand that it's not, to me, it makes the game less fun if you have to stop it almost every single time. And so that's the conflict there.
What I would encourage your listeners to do is watch the game and go headset on to headset off. From the time the headset goes on to making the decision, the headset comes off, that's usually pretty quick. Then all of a sudden it's like this lingering of time that takes place. Get the ball back in play and let's move.
Right.
A couple of comments on Facebook Live. Donald says, your history is much more impressive than your refereeing.
I would agree with that. I watched some of my calls as well, Donald. Thank you.
You've always been one of the best referees, and it's been a pleasure to have known you throughout my career in the NBA, which is 38 years now that I've been associated with the NBA. Some other questions that are coming in. This one has to do with your time with the mob. Skip Felice. I don't know if you've ever known that name or heard of him, but he was in the Cleveland area, very much infiltrated with the mob, and that name came to reminder right away.
There were a lot of guys from Cleveland. Youngstown was an area that had a lot of wise guys. Cleveland, I always liked going to Cleveland to work games because I thought it had the best Little Italy in all of the leagues. Better than New York. It was tremendous. I mean, the restaurants were awesome. The whole atmosphere in Little Italy was tremendous.
Yeah. Another question that's come in on Facebook Live. Who was your favorite referee to work with?
Danny Crawford. Danny and I worked a lot of games together in the playoffs.
Not Joe Crawford, but Danny Crawford.
Danny. Joey's great to work with, too. So many good guys. Steve Javi was a great partner. Joey is a dear friend. And as I told Paul, Joey and I are the same age. We're only 2 months apart. But I loved getting us on camera because I would point to me and say, if this is what happens when you eat the vegetables. If you don't eat your vegetables, you're going to end up looking like him. But Joey was a tremendous personality in the NBA and still does great work. He's still involved in management today.
Yeah. He was one of my favorites too, to work with.
Good guy.
And there are, when you look back at it, Earl Strom, another guy. Did he work with you at all?
Yeah. I came in under the 2-person system. So I worked with Earl, Jake O'Donnell, Darryl Garretts, and Hugh Evans was a big mentor of mine. Mm-hmm. And I nominated Hubert for the Hall of Fame, and he got in 2 years ago. And one of the thrills that I had in life is that we went through many a tunnel together, but you know how they announced the finalists and who's been selected for the Hall of Fame at the Final Four. Hubert was ill at that time and in the wheelchair. I got to push him onto the floor to be introduced. And it's the only time I've gone through a tunnel out onto the court where there was a tear in my eye.
Sure.
And and God bless him, he did not live to the induction, which was in October, and that was in April of 2022.
If you're just joining us, a former NBA referee, and I'm proud to call him a good friend of mine, Bob Delaney, joining us in studio. He's the author of several books. We'll get to those as well. But let's take some phone calls. We've got Al standing by. Good morning, Al. You're on the home team.
Hello, Al.
Hi.
Good morning.
Go right ahead, Al.
Hello.
Or did you press the wrong? Is this Donald?
No, that's Al. I got Al on the line.
Okay.
Al, are you there?
All right. We might.
We'll try to get back to you.
We might have lost him, but we'll try and get him back on. One thing that I've always wondered, Bob, when you get into town, or do you know ahead of time who are your 2 referees you're going to be working with, or is it just when you get to the arena, or do you get a schedule for the whole year? How does that work?
When I was there, we got schedules for the month. And so we would have the schedule for the month, and you knew who you were working with. So you coordinated with each other about what hotel we're staying in, who's getting the car. If there is a car, more often than not, later in my career, we're using car services. Just made it easier to get around town. And then each morning you have an 11 o'clock morning meeting around that time where you meet with the crew, and we either go over training videos or matchups or teams. So, I always refer to it as there's 3 teams on the floor during every basketball game. The 2 competing and the referee team, and our team has to be as good as their team with preparation. And so we're preparing for the game, and then you have lunch, or usually you'll find an NBA referee at 2:00 in the afternoon is taking a nap, and get up and start getting ready to go to game. To me, getting ready for the game was the preparation. So when I'm shaving and starting and putting on the suit and getting the tie on, that means I'm going to work. And so your mindset starts before you even get to the arena about this is what, and then the ride over to the game with the crew. You're talking about the game and you're talking about your profession. And so there's a preparation of getting prepared. The same way you guys do as you prepare for your show, we're preparing for the game. And then when you get into the locker room, you can't wait to get out because in that locker room, those butterflies start to come into your stomach and you can't wait for that door. And once you get on the floor, that's where the calmness comes. That's where the comfort level comes.
Well, I can say PA announcers at 2:00 in the afternoon are taking a nap too.
Exactly.
Getting ready for the game that they're going to be working. And there's some similarity there. Do we have Al back or okay, let's go to Don then. Hello, Don, you're on the home team.
I'm assuming it's me.
Yes, go right ahead,
Hey,
Donald.
Donald.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, my God, Bob, those stories are awesome. I want to hear more of that than when you were being a rep. When I
Oh, you will.
Yep. When I was dating my wife, Liz, and we've been married, we've been together for 43 years, they had a family around the block that actually got involved with them. I I was fencing stuff for them. I'm not going to go into detail, but yeah, the limos would come up. He would get out of the house, and they come up and kiss his ring and all this good stuff. It was pretty cool. And they were at our wedding, the whole family, a bunch of them, and it was just incredible people.
Al, where'd you grow up?
Or this is Donald.
Donald, my bad. Donald, where'd you grow up?
On Long Island.
Okay, yeah. So my first undercover apartment was in Bayonne, New Jersey, and then I lived there for about a year and a half, and then they made me look like I had more money, and they moved me up to Fort Lee, New Jersey, right at the base of the George Washington Bridge. Both apartments were fully wired, and so. Going over to the island, going over Staten Island, going over into New York City was just part of the routine.
Oh yeah, that's just. I mean, it sounds like a movie. They should base it on you because it's just so cool.
Well, it's great that you said that, Donald. There was a new film that just came out by Nick Nanton on my story, and it's called Hiding in Plain Sight. It's on Amazon Prime. On Nick's show, which is In Case You Didn't Know by Nick Nanton. And Nick is the filmmaker who did the Dick Vitale story that was on ESPN. If you remember, they followed Dick around as he was going through his battle with cancer the first time. And Dick, I've known for years. He's a Jersey guy as well, and he kept telling Nick Nanton, "You got to listen to this guy's story." Dick Vitale is a great promoter, not only in every aspect of life. So he promoted me to Nick Nanton, and Nick did a story on me. So that just came out 3 weeks ago.
Wow! All right, Donald, we appreciate it. Anything else, real quick?
Just lightning rolling, and it's good to see the Rays come back against the Jays last night. Brandon Lau with his home run, grand slam.
Yes.
So that was cool.
Well, they've only got 2 of 162 in the books.
That's
so
right.
Lots of baseball to be played. A long season, the longest in professional sports, for sure. Donald, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's stay on the phone lines. Lee is with us next. Hello, Lee. You're on the home team.
Hello, Lee.
Did your guest ever do a game at the Coliseum in Cleveland?
The Richfield Coliseum.
Yeah, sure. Many games. That's when we would stay at the airport and then we drive out, and you had to you had to leave early in the afternoon to get out there. But you go through neighborhoods, and then all of a sudden you were at the Coliseum. Yeah, many times. Yeah. In fact, Paul and I were speaking off air about Joe Tate. Great guy.
Like I said, I'm 80 years old, so I go back before Cavs. And it was great to be out there.
Yeah.
And just a story about I was in charge of getting snow off the highway for the state of Ohio.
We had a full-time job.
And every time you'd see one snowflake, the state patrol wanted to know if we were getting the roads cleared into that place. So we had to make sure you guys got in.
Well, it was kind of a treacherous drive too, Lee.
Yes.
I mean, you had to go up and down some hills, and I worked out there for 3 years, 1 as public address and 2 radio with the Cavaliers. So very familiar with the Richfield Coliseum.
Yeah, Route 303 in Peninsula. There were some good hills there. So.
There was a little restaurant, Bob. I don't know if you ever got the chance to go there when you were working at the Richfield Coliseum, called Whitey's, and it was Whitey's Booze and Burgers. And it's still there to this day.
Kidding. Yeah.
They're known for their chili. They're known for their burgers, and just a little hole in the wall that has really expanded into quite a facility now. But always used to go there. And Joe Tate actually was one that tipped me off to that.
No kidding. Yeah, no, I do not recall that.
There wasn't much out there.
Once we were done with the game, we were heading back to the airport to get ready for the next game. But that area where you guys start talking about the snow, I remember some really tough road hauls getting up there.
Yeah.
Yes, those were the days.
I remember.
All right,
I had to take Marv Albert to the airport, and he needed a ride there from the Coliseum. So he got in the car, and we had a nice conversation back and forth, and dropped him off at the airport.
Great guy. I still text with him, still have a conversation every once in a while. Marv is just amazing person.
And his son Kenny is doing great work.
Yeah.
I'm personal friends with him as well. I know Kenny very well, and he does multiple sports. So it's always good to see him.
That's the great thing about this position of having been in the NBA. The people that you meet. It's an amazing group of folks in professional sports that I've had the opportunity. But for me as a kid, to have watched the games and then be able to sit with Bill Russell, then sit with Bill Bradley or Dave DeBusschere or, Willis Reed. I mean, when you get to spend time with these guys, Walt Frazier, and then you were admiring them as a kid, it's just what a great opportunity this game does.
For sure. We need to hit another break. And John, we're going to get to you as well. Lee, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Deb, glad to have you with us on Facebook Live. Lots of people tuning in on Facebook Live, and we certainly do appreciate that. If you have a question for Bob Delaney, you can do it either on the phone lines, as Lee did, and or you can put it on Facebook Live. You can certainly jump in that way as well. Hello to Deb and also to Otis watching today on Facebook Live. Want to get into a number of different things, but as I mentioned, we do need to hit a break, and then we will be back with more of the home team. 727-441-3000 if you want to join us. We will be back with more here on the home team on the Tan Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and Facebook Live.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
There's no place like this place anywhere near this place, so this must be the place. That's what they've been saying about the Palm Pavilion since 1926. The Palm Pavilion on the north end of the sparkling beach is a Clearwater beach landmark. Situated directly on the beach overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, the Palm Pavilion is the place to order cool tropical drinks and watch spectacular sunsets. Tempt your taste buds with perfect pasta, sizzling steaks, chicken or seafood wraps, shrimp and crab chowder. Come for a day or stay for the night. A casual atmosphere featuring live entertainment on the deck. The Palm Pavilion Inn and Beachside Grill and Bar on sparkling Clearwater Beach. Visit them on the web at palmpavilion.com, or better yet, visit in person, 10 Bay Esplanade on the north end of Clearwater Beach. The Palm Pavilion Inn and Beachside Grill.
We're talking with Pastor Chris Bonham, the senior executive pastor at Grace Family Church, and it's been around for a while, Pastor Chris. What do you attribute the longevity to?
We've been around for 27 years, and our senior pastor, Craig Altman, always has had the value of being real, being genuine, and I think that's really been the key to our longevity. The message hasn't changed. We're always going to be Bible-based, Bible-centered, but our genuineness allows us, as we've grown, to show we're not perfect. We're not always going to do everything right, and that allows us to be real. And I think when people see that, that's very inviting to them to realize they don't have to just be perfect as well. They can come just like they are, and God can meet them right where they're at.
You'll find services on both Saturday and Sunday at Grace Family Church, so check it out.
Grace Family Church, now with 8 locations, the newest at State Route 54 and Suncoast Parkway.
This is Paul Porter. For the past 12 years, we've not endorsed an air conditioning company on the home team. Until now, I'm happy to tell you about the family-owned and operated air conditioning company, Action Air Conditioning. David Russell and his family run their business with 3 principles in mind: honesty, integrity, and reliability. They've been in business since 1988. They service the entire home team listing area. From service to AC checkups to a whole new system, Action Air Conditioning is the AC company for you. Why do I speak so highly of Action Air Conditioning? I've used them many times at multiple properties, and I've been completely satisfied every time. Visit them on the web at actionairconditioning.com. That's actionairconditioning.com. Or you can call them at 813-935-6644. If you're in need of an air conditioning company, take it from me. Action Air is your company. 813-935-6644. 813-935-6644. actionairconditioning.com. This is Paul Porter. 10 years ago, my wife and I started a nonprofit ministry to help victims of domestic violence called Reach Out, Speak Out. I'm asking you, my loyal listeners, to consider a donation to help our ministry. If you'd like to join our auxiliary board or just be a friend to Reach Out, Speak Out by helping with your time, talents, or treasures whenever you're available, please contact us by visiting reachoutspeakout.org. Please send your donation to Post Office Box 4979, Tampa, Florida 33677. That's Reach Out, Speak Out, Post Office Box 4979, Tampa, Florida 33677. 501c3 number 471630804. No gift is too large or small, and all gifts are tax deductible. Thank you in advance for your help, and I hope you'll join us making a difference in our community.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. Just enjoying some stories with Bob Delaney here during off the mic, and we'll talk about some of those stories that we were chatting about when we get back on the mic with him. We're very happy to have former NBA referee Bob Delaney in studio with us today, and not just a former NBA referee, but he was a whole lot more. And if you're just tuning in, you missed some great stories, but some more great stories still to come. So stay right with us. I want to go to the phone lines. Gordy Zimmerman is joining us, and I'll be out with Gordy next Saturday out at the Farmers Market, the first Saturday Farmers Market out at Trinity. Gordy, welcome back to the home team.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing, Paul, Jason? Nice to meet you, Bob.
Nice to meet you.
Glad to have you with us, Gordy. And some interesting stories. I don't know how much of the first part of the program you heard, Gordy, but some interesting stories that Bob Delaney has to share with us today.
Yeah, I was listening right from almost the start. I know a lot of NHL referees and did a hockey camp with one of them. Some great fun times working with what most people don't, really talk about is the referees and the personalities. And I think it's a big part of the game in all sports.
Bob, that's something that I try to develop when I meet referees. And I've had my favorites. You and Joey Crawford, Tom Washington is one of my favorites. I always enjoyed working with Dick Pavetta. Yeah. He was a lot of fun. And Steve Javy and Kenny Maurer, another guy that I really enjoyed. And I certainly had the respect for the referees because they were in charge and they could throw anybody out of a game that they wanted to, whether it be a player, coach, or PA announcer.
Or a fan.
Yeah. So I always tried to develop a friendship with them. And it's you got to realize that they're just people. That they're just trying to do a job. And one of the stories I always enjoy is you had a fan really, in fact, it was in Orlando, a fan was just really berating you and screaming at you and telling you you're blind, you can't see and all that. And you took your whistle off and offered to hand it to him.
Yeah. Probably not something that David Stern would have been happy with me doing, but we would offer the whistle to fans and say, you're more than welcome to come on out here and try this. Because I always wish I could bring fans out because it's like 10 guys in a blender. It's just going, man. Yeah. And you're trying to decipher what's taking place. But Gordy, I know a lot of the NHL referees, major league umpires and the NFL officials. We all know each other. It's our own little kind of club. I always say to the NHL guys, that's a crazy game you work. You have 2 halftimes. I never understood that game.
Well, my good buddy Dave Creighton, his brother played Adam Creighton with the Lightning. His dad played all original 6. We would go to the Lightning game, and Dave and I would actually go down to the locker room and hang out with the referees. And we had so much fun with those guys. It was just a blast. they brought in all the nice food and beer, and after the game we'd sit there for an hour and a half and just talk stories. So,
yeah, and I would tell you, I'm involved with TAPS, which is I'm on the advisory board, and that's Tragedy Assistance Programs for Survivors. It's the families of our fallen soldiers, military service members, whether they died on the battlefield, died by suicide, died by natural causes, illnesses. And early in the NHL season this year, the NHL referees hosted a family. And we went early, and they brought them in and gave them the experience of going to the game with the referees. We do it with the NBA referees. The NFL does it as well. But my wife and I got to go with the family, and the NHL referees were just absolutely phenomenal. They took the military service members who passed, his wife and daughter, out on the ice before the game, gave them their uniforms to put on, introduced them to players, and it's just an amazing group and the heart that they have. And that's to your point.
Night. Yeah.
That's to your point, Paul. They're human beings, and they have sensitivities and empathy, and they're so giving. And I like to share those stories because I think at times people are not as aware of all the good things that they do. They do it behind the scenes, and I got to see Paul that night over at the arena, and the family. It's a memory that the family never forgets, because what we try to do is link them up to sports that their service member was a fan of, and so it's part of the healing process.
Gordy,
and that's a great program. We would bring in some referee camps into center ice when I was CEO over there, and it was great to. You have to have respect for that part of the game, and in Florida it's hard to get ice.
Right.
And alone just for a hockey team, but to have a referee camp, most people don't think about it. But, we had a shortage of referees in Florida.
Yes.
And, when COVID happened, there was a shortage of referees all over the place. So,
yeah. Gordy, we only got a couple of minutes left before the top of the hour, but I want to talk about next weekend and what's going on out there. The first Saturday Farmers Market, I'm going to be able to be a part of that for the first time. Tell us more.
Yeah. So, Paul, we'll excited to have you guys there live. We've launched our G Sports platform. It's an extension of our academy over at Generations, and we're excited to get that underway. We have multiple sports coming, with hockey, figure skating, all the traditional sports of, lacrosse, soccer. We're doing basketball. We've got a great basketball program coming in. We're real excited about that. We've had some really good leadership join our team recently, just in the strategic analysis of our development and, everything that we're building. So we're adding 70,000 square feet of a sports complex to the school, and then we'll be developing some additional facilities in the near future and working on that currently. So a lot of excitement out in Trinity, and we're real excited to have you guys come live next week at the market. We've got a market, about 80 vendors come monthly, and it's one of the largest markets in that area of Pasco County. And
it's out on Little Road, just about a mile south of State Route 54 in Trinity. And of course, the Generations Church is huge. You can't miss that. I hope a number of people can stop by next Saturday between 9 and 11 while I'm out there, and I look forward to it. Gordy, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and I will see you next Saturday.
All right, Paul. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter.
All right.
Happy Easter.
Well, we're halfway through, but we've got so much more to talk about with Bob Delaney here today, and we will do that in the second hour. Stay with us on the Tan Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and Facebook
Live.
I was caught in the middle of a railroad track. Thunder underground, and I knew there was no turning back. Thunder, my mind raced, and I thought.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Vicki Barker. Massive recovery and repair material converging on the waters around the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. The largest crane on the eastern seaboard is going to be aiding the effort, but it may be months before the port of Baltimore can reopen. Meanwhile, Jim Salmon of the Delaware River Bay Authority says that state is taking steps to protect one of its major bridges. CBS's Stephen Stock has been talking to him. I'm sorry. Let me try introducing Stephen Stock again.
The state is spending $95 million installing up-to-date protections on the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
If a ship would happen to lose control or lose steering and veer towards one of our tower structures, these new dolphin cells will protect our tower structures. It's what I would call our insurance policy.
That insurance policy with new reinforced structures might have made Tuesday's crash less catastrophic. The changes to the Delaware Memorial Bridge are meant to withstand a collision with a ship heavier and moving faster than the Dolly when it hit the Key Bridge.
Pope Francis was a last-minute no-show at a key Easter ritual last night. He is expected to be able to celebrate Easter Mass tomorrow. Anti-Israel protests in Jordan again today, with demonstrators calling for an end to Israel's attacks in Gaza and the slowdown of aid threatening famine there. This week, Israel announced it would stop working with UNRWA, the UN agency helping Palestinians in Gaza, after some of its workers were implicated in the October 7th massacres in Israel. CBS's Chris Livesay has more.
The UN is investigating the allegations against its staff, which it fired immediately. That's 12 people out of 30,000 throughout the region. And what the director of the West Bank office of UNRWA told me is that there simply is no other organization in the region with either the resources or the personnel to take its place.
And a United flight from Tel Aviv to Newark was diverted to a small New York State airport last night after hitting severe high winds and turbulence. CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg with this reality check.
Flights get diverted all the time. United Airlines, by the end of this month, which is fast approaching, will have had 131,000 departures and only 9 incidents, none of which were life-threatening.
Try telling that to the passengers involved. The flight did resume, but some of them opted to complete their journey by bus. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. See why over 28 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
This is Downtown Dade. How would you like to be able to promote yourself, your business, or someone else's business for less than the cost of one 60-second commercial on many Tampa Bay radio stations? Here's the deal. You can have your own 1-hour radio program on the TAN Talk Network for less than the cost of one 60-second announcement on many Tampa Bay stations. Your program will be on 2 Tampa Bay radio stations and will cover 4 million people in Florida, plus worldwide on the internet in both audio and video. And you'll have a web link for your business on the TAN Talk 1340 website. We provide the producer, the state-of-the-art equipment, free production of commercials, and much more. Check it out today. Call Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at 727-510-7622. That's 510-7622. Call Lola O'Brien now, 727-510-7622. Call now and your 1-hour radio program can start tomorrow. Call 510-7622 for Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Pan-Hellenic News, on air live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. at 106.1 FM. Pan-Hellenic News, radio program from the Pan-Hellenic Federation of Florida. Wednesday at 4 p.m. Greek news, entertainment and culture.
Για νέα και για τον ελληνισμό. Μείνετε συντονισμένοι. Stay tuned.
Hey Tampa Bay, Tammy here with the BCC Coupon Book. Tune in during drive time 5 to 6 p.m. on the TAN Talk Radio Network to hear the BCC Coupon Book radio show. We feature local small business owners with great deals for many services and restaurants in our listening area. And anyone interested in branding your business and getting your name out there, give us a call at the BCC Coupon Book, 727-804-6082. Have a great day, Tampa Bay.
That's the BCC Coupon Book, Wednesdays 5 to 6 on the TAN Talk Radio Network.
calling all radio enthusiasts with storm claims and legal questions. Join us every Saturday at 2 p.m. on WTAN FM 106.1 and AM 1340 for Legal Candy with attorney Candace Colucci. She's your guide to hurricane-related issues, property insurance law, and more sizzling legal topics. Get ready for a lively legal experience. Make your Saturday sweet with Legal Candy on WTAN FM 106.1 and AM 1340. This is Paul Porter, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with some exciting news. My radio program can now be heard on the Tan Talk Radio Network every Saturday morning from 9 to 11. We take your phone calls, give you the latest news on all of our home teams, and have contest and prize giveaways. Join Jason Alessi and me every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. for the home team on FM 106.1 and AM 1340. Also on Facebook Live, the home team with Paul Porter.
Tampa Bay's Tan Talk. Entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
The Rays have won the American League pennant. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
When the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady. I don't know why we ever think it won't.
It's time for the home team. The home team is brought to you in part by Grace Family Church. Just try it. By Tampa Bay area Chick-fil-A restaurants. By Vermost Insurance. By Mahoney's Auto Repair. By the Palm Pavilion on Clearwater Beach. By Irish 31, the place to catch your favorite team in action. By Iceman Development LLC. And now here he is, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning and Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Paul Porter.
Thank you, Bill Carl, and welcome to hour number 2 of a very special edition of the home team today. And we're very happy to have a former NBA referee and also former New Jersey State police officer and undercover Bobby Covert joining us today. You may know him as Bob Delaney, but Bobby Covert is another name that he got used to using, and we're hearing a lot about some of the things that Bob did during his career, and we certainly appreciate all the calls and the questions that have come in on Facebook Live. Our friend John Bychek is standing by, and let's see if we can go to John Bychek now. Hello, John, are you there?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
I know a little bit about some covert operations, so it sounds like it's a good show so far.
Yeah, you've done some covert things yourself, right?
Back in the day.
Yeah. Bob, one of the things that I've always wondered, and in fact, there was a question here from John on Facebook. Did Larry Bird ever say to his opponent, "This is how I will score on you"?
Yeah, I mean, those stories that you hear, I mean, you hear them from players that he would walk up to somebody. I had one with Larry where, they're down 6 points against Portland. It's 1993, and it's St. Patrick's Day, and we're in the Boston Garden. And they come back, and with 4 seconds to go, Larry hits a 3 to tie the game, and they go to overtime. He walks directly up to me, and I won't use the words exactly that he used as adjectives, but he said he should be on the line to end this thing. And he says it with a deadpan face, and that's just his way of trying to work you to get the next call. Mm-hmm. And they went on. He had 48 points that day, and they won in triple overtime against the Portland Trail Blazers. Mm-hmm. Bird had a way about him that was all business and was not impressed with anyone else, but had a confidence that was so obvious, and it permeated from him. Byron Scott, I've had conversation with where Byron said he told us when he came out of the huddle, I'm going over into that corner, I'm making this shot, and we're getting out of here. And he beat the Lakers that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. John, any questions for Bob?
No, it sounds like he's got a storied career. Very impressive. A lot of eclectic, different paths he's taken. So that's just a realm that very few people get to be in at that level and talk to those guys. It's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's fun sitting courtside, as I have the privilege to do, and hear some of the conversations amongst the referees, and hear what they say to the players and that. And it takes a certain temperament, I think, Bob, to be able to do that. You've got 20,000 fans screaming at you, saying everything about your history and your vision and your family and everything else. And then you've got coaches screaming at you. And then you've got millionaire and billionaire athletes screaming at you. You really have to be able to kind of tune some of that out.
Yeah, and compartmentalize, but also I think that the maturing, I share this with referees, that the maturing of a referee comes when he or she understands how to interact with the will to win. The will to win is coming at you. It's not personal. They're reacting because every call you make, they interpret gets in the way of their win. So when you learn how to have a calm confidence and to be able to calm the waters, people talk about technical foul. The technical foul has to be the last thing. It should never be the first action. So, I was in law enforcement, and during my uniform years, I was very fortunate. I had a senior trooper by the name of Bobby Scott, who taught me that just because I had a badge and a uniform did not give me the right to be disrespectful or demeaning to folks. And he said, you will truly know you're a professional law enforcement officer when after you arrest someone or give them a ticket, they say thank you. They're not thanking you for what you did. They're thanking you for how you did it. And so I brought that same mindset to the game of basketball. In that authority position, I wanted to portray proper authority behavior and not use the whistle as a bully.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Want to say hello to Randy and Deb watching us on Facebook Live. Glad to have you with us. Question that's come in on Facebook Live. You obviously are associated with basketball, but is basketball your favorite sport to watch?
Very good question. I do like watching basketball for sure. I like hockey because I don't understand it, and so it's intriguing to me.
Two half times.
Yeah, 2 half times, but it's also intriguing to the speed of it and not knowing the rules and trying to figure it out. So but college football is something that I truly enjoy, especially now doing the work that I do for the SEC and being able to be on the field and seeing the athleticism take place. But there's so many sports. My wife is a big pickleball player, and I love going there because I'm only known as that's Billy's husband. Right? My wife is Billy Delaney, and that's a good feeling because I'm the water boy and the towel guy at the pickleball. But that's an amazing sport as well. The great thing about sports is it gives us a diversion, and it allows us to be away from all the craziness of the world and it's a lot more than just the numbers that end up on a scoreboard. There's so many life skills that are learned through sports, and that to me is important.
It's amazing. And I actually had a conversation with a person that was going to be involved in a brain surgery the next day. And they were at the hockey game, and they said, I just needed this to unwind, knowing what's ahead of me, and it is a diversion, as you mentioned. And someday, Bob, you and I will sit down. I'll explain the rules of hockey to you.
I appreciate it.
And then
there's so many that I don't know. I'm not fully aware of. I've learned a little bit here and there.
I'll be able to say that I explained the rules to an NBA referee. So, I won't say hockey.
A lot of people have done that over the years.
I'm sure.
A lot of people have explained the rules to me.
I'm sure. John, it's great to hear from you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Got the hockey game tonight. I might see you there working. They're playing well and impressed how they're playing lately.
I believe 7-0-1 in their last 8, something like that.
Actually, they're 10-0-1 now in their last 11.
Hello, good, even better.
They're doing well. John, I will be there tonight. However, I will not be announcing because tonight is our annual gender equality night. And Courtney Robinson from Tampa Bay's 10 is going to be doing the PA announcing, and I'll be working with her and helping her along.
Well, we may see you there. They're playing really well tonight. As well as they played defensively, could be a trap game. So I'm hoping to play well. They're stacking up points, and they really need to.
Yeah, no, as Coach Cooper says, they're munching points. So it's good to see.
So, John, were you in law enforcement or military?
Military.
Well,
sir.
Thank you for your service, sir.
I appreciate it. Counterintelligence for many years.
Yeah, and I know that you've got quite a story yourself, John, and it's been a pleasure to know you over the many years that we've been associated and all the years you did here on the home team. So, in fact, the Rubber Cement Man posted, "Is John Bycheck okay?"
John's okay. He's in there recovering from knee surgery and getting the second one done. So it's all good.
Very good.
In there.
Well, John, I got to be around the world champions of the game of basketball, but our military service members are the world champions in life. And thank you for your service.
Very kind of you. Appreciate it. You were worth it.
All right. Thank you, John. Good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in.
Yep.
Appreciate it very much. We've got a number of things to get to, and one of the things that I've always wanted to ask Bob is, and this is kind of a selfish question, but then again, it's not. PA announcers have a very important role in the game, and they're actually working in conjunction with the referees. We rely on the referees to give us a signal, then we let people know what's going on in the game. But the referees are listening to the PA announcers quite a bit.
Yeah. There's a true team taking place. I would tell you that the table is always, and we always would have conversations with each other, meaning the referees, about different tables because some were so much better than others. And not throwing flowers at you at Orlando, but you guys were tremendous. Everybody on that table was focused on their job, and that made our job easier. So we would always listen to your voice. If I call a foul and I give a signal to the table, I want to hear you telling the fans, number 44, and announce his name so that I know that it's correctly been put into the book. Otherwise, 4 minutes down the road, we could have a problem. The same thing with the three-pointer. I'm going to keep my arms up until I know Paul's just told the fans that we got a three-pointer, because that then correctly gets put into the book and put on a scoreboard. So it's a team that's going on. It's not just the three referees. You've got everybody on that table that has a function, meaning the scorer's table. The official scorer, the shot clock operator, the game clock operator, the announcer, all of that is makes up the whole team that administrates the game.
Yeah, it's good to know the inside story behind that. And there are some announcers around the country that make it about themselves, and they're doing all of these different things, and you can see the confusion on the referee's face. What did he say? What did he call that right? Yeah. That's got to be frustrating. Just get the information out there.
Exactly. Same thing with officiating. Sometimes I see officials putting a little bit more mustard on the hot dog. You don't need to do that. Just make the call. I've actually have done work with Todd Rose. Todd Rose is a neuroscientist at Harvard, and how we freeze our brain. So when referees are given that block signal and they're constantly showing that, you're actually freezing your brain and staying in the past and not ready for the present. So in the training that I do with officials, only use the signals that are going to communicate to the fans and to the table what is taking place. All this other stuff is look at me kind of movements. Look at me, I saw this. Look at me, I did this. And no, it's not about you. It's about the game. And so we have to minimize all those kinds of actions, because not only do they look funky out there, you're actually, from a neuroscientist, being told it freezes your brain, and your brain has to be reactive to what players are doing.
I wanted to ask, and Jason, jump in there anytime. I don't mean to be shy.
No.
I'm dominating the conversation.
I'm enjoying. I don't need to say this much right now, dude.
Draymond Green, I had the privilege of throwing him out of the game. Not me, but the Ray Acosta called 2 technicals on him, and he got thrown out. Certainly, he's up to the top as far as guys getting thrown out. Do referees have they know a guy's temperament, they know his past, they know the guys that are just always complaining, and that? Do you approach it any differently, or are the rules regardless of who the player is?
Yeah, I think there's a basic humanness that takes place. So if you have someone that's constantly complaining, it may cause for you to react even quicker. But what I tried to do and got better at in the later years, but I train referees in this way. So the old game Etch-a-Sketch, I would bring it in, And Etch-a-Sketch for young folks that are out there, it was a game that you could actually play. But if you turned it over and you shook it, it became a clean slate. And I keep saying that's Etch-a-Sketch. Our responsibility is to take and adjudicate what is before us, not about what's happened in the past. And so you cannot bring the past into the present.
Good point.
And that is extremely important. So Etch-a-Sketch, I would say to myself during the course of a game, self-talk is extremely important as a referee. Etch-a-Sketch. I'm not going to be jumping at something here.
Was there one player who you consider was the biggest headache for you throughout your career? Any particular one that you almost dreaded in a way going into the game because you knew it was going to be drama?
Not as much with players, coaches. Kevin Loggery, because I started way back in the day. Bill Fitch. These were guys that were hard guys to referee because they came at you. And Kevin is the greatest guy in the world off the court. But once he got on the court, he was so determined. And that's that will to win that comes at you. And Larry Brown and I had a lot of go-rounds over the years.
Paul, that was your favorite.
I had a few go-arounds with him myself.
Was he the one, you told me the story about your traveling Ling or something that he objected to, and then the official told you to knock it off or something like that?
Yeah, they would. Vernon Maxwell, when he was in the league, he had been with the Florida Gators and left to go to the NBA, and this was before all of the leaving college early happened so regularly. And when he came on the court, everyone was booing him because they were so mad, all the Florida Gator fans. And so I chimed in, and I would say the foul on number 24, Vernon Maxwell, and the crowd, boo! And finally Larry Brown had enough, and he came down and says, knock it off. And the official at the time, I believe it was Kenny Maurer, says he's just announcing the foul. Right. He's just giving information. And Larry Brown says, yeah, but he's making fun of him the way he's doing it. It's unprofessional. But the one story that I always enjoy telling, you were having a time with, I think it was Tom Thibodeau with the Chicago Bulls back then, and he was just screaming at you and berating you, and
with what voice he had left. He often loses his voice. He's very gravelly.
And it went on for probably 30 to 45 seconds, going just continuous. You didn't say a word, and then after he finished, you said, "Are you through?" And he says, yes. And you said, okay, Orlando Ball. Very calmly. And
Tommy was an emotional guy. And when he was in Chicago, if you remember, he was coach of the year that one year. And he was complaining about a call. And I did the same thing. I listened to him. And right in front of his bench, I said, Tommy, you were voted coach of the year, not referee of the year. And his team started laughing, and he did as well.
Yeah.
That's the kind of calming the waters that I speak about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having that kind, allow people to vent. They're gonna come at you. No one is stopping the game and calling a timeout and say, Bob, I want to tell you, you're doing a great job tonight. That's not going to happen. So allow the emotion to come out. And when it can't keep coming, they're not going to stay at that level.
Yeah, some coaches call timeout for that specific reason. They don't want to talk to the players. They want to talk to you.
So allow them to have it, but cut it off. It can't go on and on and on, but you have to have a way to cut it off. And so knowing different people, I became like that 20 to 30 second, just you described, listen, are you done? Okay, let's go. And more often than not, coaches even later would say, appreciate it, because all I was doing was I had to talk to somebody.
Yeah. It's funny the way all that goes. Let's bring in Anthony next. Hello, Anthony. You're on the home team.
Hey, thank you so much. And I'm glad that the Islanders didn't go with their former name. Otherwise, we would be hearing the duck calls on the ice every time they would come here to play. They were formerly the Eastern hockey team. They were called the New York Ducks. And
Long Island Ducks.
The Long Island Ducks, yeah. But that was what, the 1920, before 72, where the Islanders became the Islanders. But look, I'm glad you have Mr. Delaney on the. This is something that I've been wanting to ask. Basically, because you were in the midst of the action on the court. I dropped out of basketball after about 95, close to about 2000. The reason was because I started seeing the sport going soft. And the reason I'm saying that is because the pivotal years of my getting drawn into basketball were in the decade of the 80s to the 90s. And primarily Larry Bird, because for me, he was a pivotal player, multi-dimensional player. He had it all: score, passing, rebounds, clutch. He did it all on the court. But most of all, the guy was a trash talker. And I think that's what's missing in basketball and NBA. The ability to play physical, that's gone by the wayside. No more trash talking between him and Magic. It just seems like the sport has gone soft, and I would love to hear your opinion on that. Maybe if it went back to what it was formerly, I think it would draw some of those old timers back to the sport again. Your comments, I would appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that I understand what you're saying and agree that there was a competitive edge that came because teams did not like each other, right? I mean, Chicago and Detroit didn't like each other. Boston, L.A. At the end of games now, it's a hug fest. And I never saw that during the time that I was refereeing. They weren't helping. I mean, Bird would tell his teammates not to help somebody up off the floor if you reached out to help somebody. You could sense that intensity, and I think it added to the competitiveness that existed. But the world changes, right? I always, people ask me about this kind of question. I said, when I used to get off a plane, I'd go look for a phone booth. Today, I got a phone in my pocket. The world changes, and this change has come, and I don't see it going back to the way it was. You will have some individual players that may not be as happy to see each other on the floor, but overall, there's more of a love fest in professional sports at all levels. It's just that it's changed. They're doing commercials together. They're interacting with each other in a different way. And back in the day, they were in their own little worlds of we're protecting our team is versus your team, and it's us against the world kind of mentality. And I think it really did add to the competition. I think it gave it a higher level.
I agree. One comment is that it wasn't a matter of drawing blood on the court,
right?
But it's just the physicality that they were actually giving the fans. And I think it bled into the fans. And I don't see that in sports, in basketball right now. The fans seem to be out of the picture, whereas back then the fans were a part of it. They were actually in it, and the rivalry was real. Same thing with hockey. I think hockey's kind of gotten a little bit soft. Hope it doesn't go in that direction. But I have to say, first of all, I just as I missed the old Hartford Civic Center, the same feel is missing from the original Boston Garden. TD Gardens is great, but those past arenas and courts, there's just you can't compare those.
There was a grittiness about some of them. I mean, today most arenas look like palaces. They're pristine. They're very nice back in the old day. But no, the old school stadiums or arenas are quite different.
Bob, do you have a favorite arena that you ever worked at?
Well, Madison Square Garden was special because I grew up in New Jersey and be across the river. And that's where my first game was. Darryl Garrettson, who was our director, supervisor, officials back in the day, did that intentionally. He knew this is where you grew up. Yeah. And so as a young referee, when you came in the league, you usually got a game in that hometown.
I'm sure, before that.
Yeah, it was tremendous. It was just a special place. The old Forum in L.A. was special. Boston Garden, Chicago, when Michael was playing there. Orlando Magic, when they came to town. I'm living in Florida, and so it was pretty special. Really special because I got to have my family at the games and I got to sleep in my own bed. Was another reason working those games. But so many of the arenas, as you've just said, just had a special flavor to it. That old Boston Garden, those stories were true. I mean, if the Celtics lost, we got to the locker room quick because Red was going to turn the hot water off on the referees.
Those things you can't make up. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you see Larry running around. We'd get there early for games, and there's Bird running around up and down the steps of the Boston Garden, just maintaining his physical fitness. So all of those old stories, they were true stories.
When you say the Boston Garden, the name that comes to mind has been mentioned on Facebook Live is Johnny Most.
Johnny Most, the best. Smoking a cigarette during the game. I mean, his fingers were yellow for the amount of smoke. I mean, the guy was a chain smoker. Just a great guy.
Yeah, Phil Esposito was talking about him. Of course, Phil with the Boston Bruins for so long.
Yeah.
One real quick, Anthony. Anything else?
Yeah, Paul, I want to thank you for having Mr. Delaney on there. And Mr. Delaney, thank you for being on there and sharing in those memories. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank
you.
As a
former basketball fan and all that, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got some good ones still ahead, so don't go anywhere. Another half an hour left with Bob, so don't go anywhere. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks.
We are due for a break, and we will take that. We'll come back with more of the home team. Former NBA referee and former covert operations with the New Jersey State Police, and wow, it's just, I can't wait to get to some of these other stories. That's all coming up. Bob Delaney, our special in-studio guest today. More of the home team on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and Facebook Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hi, Paul Porter here, asking for your help. Bobby Maggie at Maggie Tax and Maggie Gives Back Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, supports and devotes its resources to assisting people in need. The Maggie Gives Back Foundation strives to help families who have fallen on hard times and are at risk of losing their homes with 1 year of mortgage or lease payments. Help us nominate a deserving family, and we need your help. If you share our belief in giving a hand up, not a handout, then we urge you to donate or nominate today to MaggieGivesBack.com. To nominate a deserving family, visit www.MaggieGivesBack.com or call us for program details. Once again, that's www.MaggieGivesBack.com or call 813-850-0131 for details.
What is Irish 31? It's the People's Pub, inspired by former USF football star Jay Mize, who wore number 31 for the green and gold. Irish 31, with 7 Florida West Coast locations, is your place to enjoy your favorite team in action. From Bucks to Bulls, Rays to Bolts, enjoy your favorite beverage or sample delicious food from their chef-inspired menu. Check out irish31.com to find the location nearest to you. Irish 31, your home team headquarters. Honest Mahoney's. That's what people have been calling LZ Mahoney for more than 35 years. Honest LZ Mahoney. The name really says it all. Mahoney's Auto Repair is a place you can trust. In fact, it was some of his loyal customers that came up with the name. Generations of people who've been taking their cars to 4040 54th Avenue North for 3.5 decades. Do you need some work done on your car? If his loyal customers call him Honest Mahoney's, that should tell you something right there. The next time you need work done on your car, take it to my friend LZ Mahoney's. He's been a part of the home team for nearly 20 years. Mahoney's Auto Repair. Or just remember Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, a place that people have called home for more than 35 years. Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. This is Paul Porter to tell you about the place to save big dollars on nearly new hockey, golf, baseball, and football equipment, and more. Check out Second Time Sports, Main Street, next to Walmart, just west of Belcher. Gently used sports equipment at significant savings is what you'll find at Second Time Sports. Call 727-784-0007 or check them out at secondtimesports.com. Don't pay full price for sports equipment without first checking out Second Time Sports. 20
7104 Main Street, just west of Belcher, next to Walmart.
My new windows from FAS Windows and Doors are in. I couldn't be happier with the job they did, from measuring perfectly to prompt and exact installation. How did I choose FAS over all the other window companies? I've known Ernie and John Wilding for nearly 20 years. They're Central Florida and West Central Florida's largest volume window and door dealer, with showrooms and distribution facilities in both Tampa and Orlando. As you know, I never endorse a product or service unless I've used them or thoroughly researched them. Their objective is providing the best quality windows and doors on the market at reasonable prices with a customer service level that is unsurpassed in the industry. Never an obligation when you call 866-737-7173 or visit them on the internet at faswd.com. Call 866-737-7173. You'll be glad you did. I sure am.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. Bob Delaney in studio with us this week, and we're very happy to be telling some stories with him. I got one I want to ask him about, but let's get to Al first. Al has rejoined us. Al, welcome back to the home team.
Yeah, I made a prediction early in that spring training. I said they're going to take its toll. It's taking its toll. There's a lot of guys on IL, and yesterday 4 more went on IL.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more injuries now than usual anyway. I mean, really throughout all sports, I think, but certainly in baseball. I mean, the Rays have their 3 top pitchers are out because they had to get Tommy John surgery.
And, playing games like they did the last couple of days in 30-degree weather, that doesn't lend itself well to baseball.
Right.
You can get a lot of injuries. I know somebody with the Milwaukee Brewers, I believe, strained an oblique muscle, and that happens when you're trying to compete in that kind of weather.
Yeah, they're getting all kind of injuries. Yeah, but the Dodgers were the luckiest team to start off the season. They got the lowest rated team in the St. Louis Cardinals. They can't hit. They swing at pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Been hit with a tennis racket. He got killed the last 2 days. They'll keep getting killed.
Well, of course, the Dodgers are a powerhouse. They keep adding each year, and this year's no different now with Ohtani, with Glasnow, with others. They got the payroll.
The idea is the Cardinals got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was like playing a high school team.
Which is unusual. Usually, St. Louis, they're very proud baseball history, and normally they are in the running. So
yeah, in fact, Mario pointed out the Braves catcher Murphy got oblique yesterday. That's who I was trying to think of, but that's absolutely right. Al, good news for you. You've got a team still in the Elite Eight.
You said LSU?
No, Duke. You have Duke in the South.
Yeah, LSU was in the women's tournament you took. But but you got Duke going. Yeah, Duke beat Houston last night.
Yeah.
Did I have Iowa?
No, you have LSU for the women's tournament.
Yeah,
LSU is pretty good. LSU actually won it all last year.
But I'm talking did I have Iowa as a 3 seed?
I don't have that all here in front of me, but you do still have Duke. You're alive with them. And, you did have the 3 seed in the West, but they got beat. So root for Duke. That's your team.
Who they playing today?
They're going to be playing NC State tomorrow.
Playing North Carolina State. They won yesterday.
Yes, they did. Yes, they beat.
So they'll face off tomorrow in the South.
Beat Marquette.
Thank you, Al. We appreciate hearing from you as always. Thanks so much for joining us. Bob, I want to tell you, my wife and I were on a trip to Italy, and as luck would have it, your book had just come out on Covert. And I was reading it, and it was just so compelling. And then being in Italy, where what a place to read the book. But my wife and I decided one night, hey, there's a casino here in Venice, and let's go to the casino. And I'm thinking, all the lights and Vegas and glitz and glamour. Well, we walked down a very dark corridor. We asked how to get there, and someone told us. And I'm walking down, and she says, "Do you think this is a good idea?" And I says, "Well, I want to see it. I just want to see it." So we finally go through all these dark corridors, and we get into the casino, and they said, "You have to wear a jacket." And, I'm thinking, okay. Right. They said, "We have them, don't worry." So they gave me a jacket, a loaner jacket to wear. And all of the slot machines were on the first floor. And I says, "Well, where can I play roulette?" And they says, "You have to go upstairs to play that." So I get upstairs, and smoke, it was so thick you couldn't even see in front of yourself. And I put my $5 down on red, and they looked at me and they said, "Are you kidding?" And I said, "No, I'm putting the $5 on red." And they says, "That's not the minimum bid, not the minimum bet." And I got out of there very quickly and came downstairs, and my wife had played a few spins on the slot machine, and I said, "Okay, well, are you ready to go?" And she says, "Yeah, let's go." And I said, "Okay, good." And we got out of there.
You can sense some things.
Oh, man. I mean, having read your book and then been on the second floor of the smoke-filled casino with guys that are betting, millions down there, and I put my $5 chip down. It was like, wow, I see what Bob Delaney was talking about.
In high school, I went to an all-boys Catholic high school, and part of what started in our freshman year was that by our senior year, we saved money that would be able to go to Rome during Easter week. Well, that life experience paid dividends in my undercover life. Because what you do when you're undercover, you take all your own personal life experiences and you mold them into the new persona that you became. So for a lot of the mob guys, traditional organized crime, that had not been to Italy, but I had, and I could tell them when I was on the Isle of Capri or when I was in Rome. I didn't say I went as in high school. I said, this girl over there, and I made it into another story. All of a sudden, I had credibility because I was in their homeland. So you utilize all these life experiences. And so that what you were just explaining, to be able to have the flavor of that story, their eyes would get bigger and it was also this, like, how did this Irish kid end up going where I haven't been? So those are all the kinds of things that you do when you're undercover.
Absolutely. Let's get Don in here next. Hello, Don. You're on the home team.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Don.
Hi, Don.
I wanted to ask, I know you refereed in the Eastern League and also in the CBA.
I knew of the Eastern League. I didn't referee in the Eastern League, but I refereed in the Continental Basketball Association. So I started in 1985 in the Continental Basketball Association. Phil Jackson was coaching Albany. Bill Musselman was at Tampa. George Karl was coaching. The list goes on.
Guys like Herb Brown.
Yes, absolutely.
I was just going to ask you if you could tell us one story about the CBA, because there was a book written about it recently and some great stories about the players, but nothing really about the referees.
Tell that Bill Musselman and Phil Jackson story.
So my first weekend in 1985 was they would send us to locations where you could have at least two teams. You work a Friday, Sunday, right? Because you didn't have the travel like you do in the NBA. And I come to the Tampa Bay area, and I'm working in Friday night at the Tampa Bay Thrillers, and they're playing against the Albany Patroons. And Bill Musselman made it to the second quarter, and then I ejected him. And then Phil Jackson made it to the third quarter. And then on Sunday afternoon, we have the two teams play again, and Bill made it to the third quarter, and Phil made it to the fourth quarter. Eric Musselman, years later, told me that his father got the team together and told them, "Don't mess with this guy Delaney. He's crazier than me." and if anybody knows Muss, Billy was crazy, man.
Oh, man.
He was a wild man on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But Eric has some great stories of his father talking about referees. This Continental Basketball Association was the best training grounds for officiating. If you could referee in that league, you could referee anywhere because you had players that were on their way up trying to get it, and you had players on their way out trying to hold on to things. No one wanted to be there. And yet it was extremely competitive because it was not only the game, the quarter mattered. You had to win quarters in order to be, they would be added up at the end of the season about seedings for playoff. So that competition, and we had this conversation earlier with another caller, that competition was at high levels in every quarter. Even if you were losing by 20, you could still win the quarter.
Wow.
And so it really created a competition.
Two guys that'll be familiar with you, Bennett Salvatore and Joe Borgia.
Yes.
Both worked in the CBA. I got to know them very well. And Bernie Fryer.
Bernie Fryer, Danny Crawford, Steve Javi, myself, Derek Stafford, Eddie F. Rush, Ronnie Garrettson. I mean, there was a whole list of all of us. Duke Callahan. All those guys came out through the Continental Basketball Association.
We need to hit a break, and then we will continue with more. Stay with us. The TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3. Don, thank you for your calls, and also on Facebook Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
When you talk about ice rink development in West Central Florida, one name stands alone: Iceman Development, LLC. Gordy Zimmerman, president and founder of Iceman Development, has played an integral part in the construction of the Ice Sports Forum in Brandon, the training home of the three-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Advent Health Center Ice Complex, a multi-million-dollar facility boasting 150,000 square feet, and ranked the top indoor ice rink facility by both the USA Today and Yelp. Iceman Development is currently involved in creating yet another outstanding ice rink facility in Trinity and Pasco County. Iceman's company mission is to build community projects that impact the area both in quality of life and economic growth. For more information, visit icemandevelopment.com. That's Iceman with two N's, development.com. Your number one home team fans, Auto Owners Insurance and Vermost Insurance Agency is a winning combination. We'll work with you to ensure your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, and secure. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit the Vermost Insurance Agency in Tampa Bay today at vermost.com. That's vermost.com. We're talking with Pastor Chris Bonham, the senior executive pastor at Grace Family Church. And it's been around for a while, Pastor Chris. What do you attribute the longevity to?
We've been around for 27 years, and our senior pastor, Craig Altman, always has had the value of being real, being genuine. And I think that's really been the key to our longevity. The message hasn't changed. We're always going to be Bible-based, Bible-centered, but our genuineness allows us, as we've grown, to show we're not perfect. We're not always going to do everything right. And that allows us to be real. And I think when people see that, that's very inviting to them to realize they don't have to just be perfect as well. They can come just like they are, and God can meet them right where they're at.
You'll find services on both Saturday and Sunday at Grace Family Church, so check it out. Grace Family Church, now with 8 locations, the newest at State Route 54 and Suncoast Parkway. This is Paul Porter to tell you about the place to save big dollars on nearly new hockey, golf, baseball, and football equipment, and more. Check out Second Time Sports, Main Street, next to Walmart, just west of Belcher. Gently used sports equipment at significant savings is what you'll find at Second Time Sports. Call 727-784-0007 or check them out at secondtimesports.com. Don't pay full price for sports equipment without first checking out Second Time Sports, 2104 Main Street, just west of Belcher, next to Walmart. There's one thing I'm particular about. It's my pizza. ABC Pizza House at 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Great specials, too, like a large one-topping pizza for just $11.99 every Monday or Thursday, or 2 pizzas with 2 toppings every Tuesday for just $22.99. Spaghetti with 1 topping every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday for just $8.99. ABC Pizza House, 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue, 813-213-0929. Open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. abcpizzahouse.com. Hello, brilliant listeners. For an intellectually stimulating and entertaining legal journey, don't forget to tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. Join us on WTAN AM 1340 radio for Legal Candy with the exceptional attorney Candace Colucci. It's the home for your legal cravings. Don't miss Legal Candy, only on WTAN 1340 AM with attorney Candace Colucci.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team, and we're on the eve of Easter Sunday, and we're going to talk to our friend Chris Bonham with Grace Family Church in just a bit, because they've got something that's going to blow you away when we talk about that. But Jason, it's busy for Alessi Bakery as well.
Very, very busy. We have a lot of Easter items. Of course, we're selling a lot of our Easter breads, the bread baskets with the eggs baked into them. We've got most of them are on order, but we should have some extra ones today. They'll probably go very quickly. We also have a lot of Easter egg or Easter themed cookies, cupcakes, and in addition, of course, our guava turnovers, apple turnovers, pastries like cannolis, eclairs, cake pops, fudge brownies. We got a great deli with all sorts of sandwiches, Cuban sandwiches, Italian subs, Philly cheesesteaks, and our famous scacciata pizza, the cold Sicilian meat pizza. So today we're open until 6 p.m. We'll be closed tomorrow for Easter Sunday, but we're normally open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 8 to 6, and Sundays are normally 9 to 4.
And the address?
We're at 2909 West Cypress Street, in between MacDill and Armenia.
All right. Very good. If you need a place to go or are wondering about a church you can go to tomorrow for Easter Sunday, who would have ever thought that one day we would be seeing church services at Raymond James Stadium? Well, Chris Bonham is joining us, and he is one of the pastors at Grace Family Church, where I attend. And Pastor Chris, welcome back to the home team.
Thank you, Paul. It's good to be with you.
We have NBA official Bob Delaney in with us today in studio. And we were just talking, Bob and I, about Tony Dungy. And he is going to be one of the speakers at Raymond James tomorrow.
Yeah, we are very excited. Tony is going to be sharing a portion of the service and just sharing his story a little bit. I know he had an opportunity to do that with Fox News this week, but we really want people to come out and just hear the next part of what he wants to share with that. And he just has an amazing story.
Now, the service is at Raymond James Stadium, and it's different going to a church service in a sports stadium, but that's exactly what's being done. Give us all the details, Pastor Chris. What time do the gates open, parking, admission, all of that, seating?
Yeah, if you were to go to our website, it has all of this information, but I can definitely give you the particulars. If you go to gscflorida.com/Easter, you'll get all of this. But the gates open at 7:30. We have people that are going to be tailgating, and all the parking is free, so you don't have to pay for any parking if you're on the stadium property. At 9:30, we're going to open the doors so you can come and get your seats. There's no ticketing, so basically you can go to any seats that you want, except for there's some on the field that you can't, but basically most of them you can. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a family ministry pre-show, which is going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great for your kids. And then at 10:30, we start the service. And like you said, Paul, this is just we're just so excited. It's a tremendous blessing that we get to actually have an Easter service at Raymond James.
It really is. And again, you don't need a ticket. You don't need any reservation. Just show up. But we probably should mention, Pastor Chris, that you're expecting upwards of 40,000 people there tomorrow. So you want to give yourself some time. Don't show up at 10:30 and think you can just breeze right in. There's going to be some traffic in and around Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, I would think anybody who's been to a Bucs game, you want to treat it pretty much like the same thing. You definitely want to be there early. You want to make sure you get your parking spot, and then when the doors open, definitely get inside. It's going to be an exciting time. And then just to remind everybody, a lot of the same similar things as a football game. The NFL stadium rules apply. There's going to be a couple concession stands open. There's going to be security. So we really are excited just to have everybody, like you said, just show up. It's going to be at a neat time. You're going to hear one of the greatest comeback stories ever. and it's just going to be a fun time to celebrate with your family.
Well, that's tomorrow, so make your plans and join us at Raymond James Stadium. Pastor Chris, thank you so much, and thank you to Grace Family Church for your longtime support of the home team.
Thank you, Paul. Have a great day.
All right. We appreciate that. We need one more break, and then we will come back and wrap things up. Boy, these 2 hours have just flown by faster than an NBA game. But we will be back with our final segment on the home team coming up next on the Tan Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and Facebook Live.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, Paul Porter here. I've known Bobby Maggie for years, and he's always supported the home team. Tax season is here, and at Maggie Tax, you can let the professionals prepare your taxes. Taxes will be going up, and now is the time to do tax planning. No appointments necessary, and 3 locations that you can drop off your tax info and go. Visit Maggie Tax for more information or call Bobby Maggie at 727-799-1701. Pay less tax with Maggie Tax. It's not a slogan, it's what they do. Mention Paul Porter and the home team, and you'll get $25 off your tax preparation. That number again, 727-799-1701. 727-799-1701. Now is a great time to shop your homeowners and auto insurance. Alliance Mutual Insurance can lower your cost on insurance during these challenging economic times. Alliance Mutual, an independent agency, is in the Tampa Bay area, locally owned with over 20 years experience. They have access to dozens of independent carriers and can find the lowest price with the highest quality coverage. Citizens is not your only option. Call or text Jamie Brown, a home team listener and supporter, at 727-637-2341. That's Jamie Brown at 727-637-2341.
Honest Mahoney's. That's what people have been calling LZ Mahoney for more than 35 years. Honest LZ Mahoney. The name really says it all. Mahoney's Auto Repair is a place you can trust. In fact, it was some of his loyal customers that came up with the name. Generations of people who've been taking their cars to 4040 54th Avenue North for 3.5 decades. Do you need some work done on your car? If his loyal customers call him Honest Mahoney's, that should tell you something right there. The next time you need work done on your car, take it to my friend LZ Mahoney's. He's been a part of the home team for nearly 20 years. Mahoney's Auto Repair. Or just remember Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, a place that people have called home for more than 35 years. Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg.
Thank goodness it's Thursday. That's what they're celebrating every last Thursday of the month from 4:30 to 8 p.m. at Raw Space Collaborative. It's a chance to network with other businesses and make some new friends. If you're looking to network your business, don't miss TGIT at Raw Space Collaborative, 6013 Wesley Grove Boulevard, Building 2, Suite 208 in Wesley Chapel. Check out rawspaceco.com for all the details. See you last Thursday of the month from 4:30 to 8 p.m. at Thank Goodness It's Thursday.
Looking to buy or sell a home but don't know where to turn? Paul Porter here from Pollyanna Ward and the team at Innovation Realty Group. They're ready to work for you. New construction, buying, or selling an existing home? They can do it all. They serve our entire listing area. Uncompromising integrity combined with savvy negotiating is what you'll find at Innovation Realty Group. Visit their website, innovationgroupfl.com. That's innovationgroupfl.com. Welcome back to the home team. We've only got a minute left, but Bob, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Tell us real quick about your books.
Yeah, I have 3 books. Covert, My Years Infiltrating the Mob. My second book is Surviving the Shadows, A Journey of Hope into Post-Traumatic Stress. And the most recent is called Heroes Are Human, Lessons in Resilience, Courage, and Wisdom from the COVID Front Lines. It's about the work that I do now about resiliency, self-care, all that I went through. I became a student of it. I work with the Harvard Global Mental Health Trauma Recovery Programs. The books can be, you can go to my website, www.delaneyconsultants.com, and you'll order the books through there.
All right, www.delaneyconsultants.com. You can get the books and stay in touch with Bob Delaney. It certainly is a pleasure. We got to have you back on the show. We just scratched the surface.
It's been a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thanks to Gordy Zimmerman for joining us on the program today. And we'll talk to you next Saturday at 9 o'clock on the Home Team on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and Facebook Live.
I was caught in the middle of a railroad track. Thunder underground, and I knew there was no turning back. Thunder, my mind raced, and I thought.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Wendy Gillette. Engineers are devising the best methods to remove debris after the Key Bridge collapsed earlier this week. CBS's Nicole Skanga is there.
A colossal crane capable of moving 1,000 tons, now poised to lift the wreckage of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. An estimated 2,000 to 3,000 tons of steel now sitting atop of the cargo ship Dolly.
It's at least going to get cut safely into 4 pieces, and then we'll slowly and deliberately take it off the front of that vessel.
There were injuries after turbulence hit a United plane heading to Newark Airport.
A United Airlines flight traveling from Tel Aviv to Newark Airport experienced turbulence and had to make an emergency landing Friday.
WA28 Newark Tower, use caution. Wind shear reported by a heavy Dreamliner on the approach end of runway.
The call from Newark Tower is heard on liveatc.net and talking about the plane being diverted to Stewart Airport in Orange County, New York. The Port Authority says at least 5 people were taken to the hospital. United Flight 85 refueled and continued to its Newark destination about an hour and a half later.
Correspondent Jennifer Kuiper reporting.